3 days before shipment, the Chinese factory suddenly refused to load the containers unless the remaining 30 balance was wired immediately. However, the procurement contract clearly stated payment upon copy of the bill of lading. Every time there was a video conference, the project manager would smile and say everything was going perfectly. It wasn't until the actual delivery day that they informed the buyer they had to wait another month due to environmental inspections and delayed raw materials. The submitted samples passed the laboratory certification. But when the bulk order of 20 containers arrived, it was discovered that 30 of the tiles had severe color discrepancies, and the internal wiring of some electromechanical equipment was a complete mess. These 3 real complaints from international business forums strike at the most vulnerable nerve of cross-border procurement. For international consulting firms and large corporate groups managing bulk procurement, NT, these costly crises are not accidental, but rather a widespread, systemic management failure. The deep-rooted cause of these issues is rarely subjective fraud by the supplier. Instead, it's an information black box woven from geographical distance, disconnected industrial standards, and differences in business culture. Relying solely on remote communication and static contracts is no longer enough to control risks. Introducing direct on-site intervention by a localized procurement agency has become a mandatory procedure to ensure safe project delivery. Below are the FMUSER core management blind spots objectively present in direct cross-border sourcing and the on-site intervention standards that must be rigorously implemented. Blind spot 1. Secretly altered technical standards. The technical requirements for architectural and electromechanical procurement are incredibly high. When hundreds of pages of English technical specifications are sent to a Chinese factory, the actual execution on the shop floor often becomes disconnected. First is information distortion. Factory technicians rely on translation software, making them highly prone to misunderstanding key details. Second is hidden substitution. Once European or American standard materials prove difficult to source locally, factories, in order to secure the order, will often unilaterally decide to substitute them with common local Chinese materials. Finally, the delayed exposure. These modifications are never proactively reported in writing. Because the consulting team cannot verify this on-site in real time, it isn't until the goods arrive in the destination country that they are shocked to discover the truth. The product's wind load resistance, fire ratings, or formaldehyde emissions simply do not meet the standards, nor can a factory provide international certifications like UL, CE, or FM approved. To address this blind spot, the professional on-site intervention standard is to initiate a strict technical clarification procedure. This includes the localized translation of drawings. Technical personnel go directly into the factory conference room before production begins, translating the English specifications line by line into production drawings or shop drawings that the workers can understand with absolute accuracy. It also means blocking material changes at the source. During the pre-production stage, any unauthorized modifications by the factory are comprehensively intercepted. And leading value engineering. If local substitute materials must be used, the agency will submit a detailed local substitution proposal, clearly listing performance comparisons and the cost-saving percentage. Only after obtaining written design change approval from the lead architect is the factory allowed to start production. Blind spot 2. The no-problem trap behind the smile. The second major bottleneck in direct cross-border sourcing is the asymmetry in management culture. International consultants are accustomed to absolute certainty. while Chinese business culture is more implicit and flexible. When complex process modifications are proposed, Chinese factory representatives will usually nod and say no problem. But expressing agreement does not equal capability. In a Chinese context, this often just means I have received your request or is a psychological compromise made to avoid losing the order. It does not mean they have the actual execution capability. This communication misalignment directly leads to severe delivery delays. To break this expectation gap, the supreme principle of on-site management is to completely change the way of asking and verifying. The question is never, can you do it? Instead, the factory is demanded to show how it will be done. By pushing for visualized solutions, the factory is forced to provide specific process drawings and production schedules. Through high-frequency, high-pressure on-site verification, remote verbal reports are rejected. Agency personnel penetrate directly to the shop floor to verify actual equipment operation and material status. This allows for the objective verification of the factory's true capability to deliver on time. Blind spot 3. Perfect samples versus out-of-control bulk goods. To mitigate risk, many companies hire multinational third-party inspection agencies. However, this conventional one-time inspection model has massive physical blind spots. First is the post-production inspection loophole. Inspectors only sample the goods right before container loading, making it entirely impossible to see concealed works like internal wiring or structural adhesive curing. By the time the third party arrives, the product is sealed, and underlying flaws are completely covered up. Next is the cognitive trap of samples. The submitted sample is carefully handcrafted by senior engineers, while the bulk goods are mass-produced on an assembly line. To control profit margins, factories might lower standards later on. This is the phenomenon known as quality fade. Finally, the lack of systematic joint testing. Without large-scale testing, it is extremely easy for bulk stone materials to suffer from mismatched textures during the dry lay process, or for customized fan coil units to experience excessive system resonance after mass assembly. The only solution is to establish a resident inspection program covering the entire life CLE, executing continuous control over all processes, seamless supervision from incoming raw materials to key process patrols, all the way to final loading supervision. Mandatory upfront extreme testing before mass production, organizing large-scale visual mock-up and performance mock-up tests, establishing a sign-off and release mechanism. Bulk production is only allowed to start after color discrepancies are thoroughly eliminated, system compatibility is confirmed, and a formal report is signed by the agency's technical experts. Blind spot 4. The unenforceability of overseas contracts and financial conflicts. Many multinational enterprises are used to drafting contracts under their home country's laws and arbitrating in offshore jurisdictions. In reality, this is a legal illusion. Such contracts are nearly impossible to enforce effectively in Chinese courts, and standard NDAs cannot prevent core designs from being sold. The stage most likely to trigger severe disputes is the absolute conflict over payment milestones. European and American buyers are used to paying against the copy of the BL, while Chinese factories feel extremely insecure and stick to the absolute bottom line of clearing the payment before shipment. This intense credit conflict erupts instantly as delivery approaches. Without strong local mediation, factories can easily detain the goods, causing the destination project site to halt work. The on-site intervention standard for this is transforming void clauses into binding execution levers. First, building a localized legal mode. Assisting in the signing of N agreements, non-disclosure, non-use, non-circumvention in Chinese procurement contracts that comply with Chinese law and fall under the jurisdiction of Chinese courts. Second, acting as a localized credit buffer. During the dangerous transition phase between payment and shipment, the agency acts as an independent third party. After completing a strict pre-shipment inspection and confirming the goods are fully qualified, the agency acts as a credit endorsement to coordinate the release of the final balance. This gives the factory financial security while ensuring the buyer receives exactly what they expect. In summary, the cross-border procurement of bulk building materials and electromechanical equipment is highly complex. The management blind spots brought about by geographical distance and cultural differences are objective realities. For international buyers, the core to resolving these systemic risks does not lie in finding a theoretically perfect supplier, but in establishing a rigorous, direct on-site intervention mechanism. This is exactly the core value Cantonmade provides as your local procurement agency. Cantonmade is dedicated to grounding technical standard translation, full process quality control, and localized financial coordination directly on the production frontline, helping you eliminate information asymmetry, overcome management blind spots, and ultimately ensure your global projects are delivered on time, on quality, and with complete success.